Alright, what it do, YouTube? Back in another video, and this month I made nearly $40,000 trading stocks and futures, so let me break everything down for you and how I did it. Let's get straight into it. So, breaking it down for the month, here's my stats for the month. Locked in $46,500 realized gains. Emphasis on realized, I'll get into that in a second. So you can see my withdrawals right here. $5,000, it takes out taxes automatically, so like $18,000 pretty much. And then through Top Step, $10,376. Then here's my Top Step calendar, $15,000 in my balance right now. So if you guys don't believe me, let me refresh for you guys. Here's my real account, just refresh it for you guys. Let me filter everything out by, where's that? By electronic transfers. So you guys can see all my transfers the past year, or the past 6 months rather. So on the year alone, withdrawn $43,650. This past month alone, like I said, $20,000 before taxes, so about 18K flat. Then over here, the Top Step, here's my real account. I'll refresh it one more time for you guys if you guys don't believe me. I'll break everything down, let it load. So you can see here's my account balance before the close of the day. All my payout requests down here, nothing's been changed. Then I'll go to my real Top Step account right here. You can see the balance up here in the top left corner. Locked in 1200 a day trading futures on NASDAQ. My balance is currently at $5,000 on Top Step. And coming down to the calendar like we saw right here. Obviously the calendar didn't reflect my current trade today, but again, 15,455 locked in on Top Step. So there's all the information for you guys, and I'll jump over to TradeZela and break everything down for you guys a bit more in detail. So here's my TradeZela journal for the month. You guys can see all the information I just provide for you. Everything's been documented. I refreshed my broker, I refreshed my Top Step account. Everything's been documented for you guys. So if you guys still don't believe me, this is what it is, but hey, go find another person who shows you everything in detail. So just breaking it down a bit further, the reason why I said emphasis on realized gains is because I was holding my Nvidia swings from Liberation Day and I closed them July 1st. So obviously we click right here. I closed my Nvidia call for about $9,700. So this is all realized gains. So more realistically, I probably made about $35,000, and I still have a $5,000 buffer in my Top Step account. So that's why I withdrew 30K as opposed to the 46K you guys see right here, because the Nvidia was a swing trade and I closed down the first. So you guys can count that if you want. But regardless, 30,000, 35K. I'm just pending right now, but everything's here for you guys. They have this really cool feature inside of TradeZela, so I'll break down kind of the overall stats and everything that happened this month. So like I said, I closed out my Nvidia swing trade here on the first of the month to set my balance, or my P&L for the month up pretty high. It was just kind of a slow grind up higher, really consistent for the month. Really didn't take too many big losses, and it was really overall really great month. I really can't complain here. So the 1% for the month was 65%. Each trade I was expecting to make about $570. The average daily P&L was $2,000, which is pretty amazing to be honest. And this is a really big one down here. The average hold time was about 2 days and 11 hours. Obviously, the Nvidia swing trade kind of skews this metric a little bit, but a lot of the trades I've made lots of money on were on Coinbase in particular, and I held the Coinbase trades for I think a week or two before I sold any of them. So swing trading was pretty great at the start of July into the middle of July. It's kind of been a bit choppy here the last few weeks, but I really took advantage of the swing trades when the opportunity presented itself. So that's why I took advantage of swing trades, throughout the middle of the month. Max daily drawdown 2,800. I'll get into that Palantir trade in a second. Just kind of crashed out. But this new really cool feature I like right here is this one. You guys can just see like pretty much everything, all the trades I was taking, and my best performing and least performing symbols. So on the month, as you guys went over my trades, my Top Step account, obviously I traded futures pretty heavily this month. So like I said, I made $15,000 on futures alone, as you guys can see or saw in my Top Step journal. My second best trade ticker was SPX, which is really surprising because in years prior I was pretty bad at trading SPX, but I think I've kind of understood what I'm looking for. I'm trading SPX a bit more, and if I lock out on ES or Top Step, I don't really trade ES futures, but SPX is a really good alternative because they move pretty decent. The contracts are just always getting volatility. You can make lots of money in a pretty short amount of time, but you can also lose money in a pretty short amount of time trading SPX. But overall, I traded 8 times this month for about $9,000 pretty much. So really can't complain there. Everything went according to plan. Coinbase, second best performing stock, don't really count Nvidia, but Coinbase 8,300, 7 trades on that one. Again, primarily swing trades. And then Netflix, 6,500. Again, primarily scalps on Netflix because it was dropping down pretty aggressive. If you guys don't recall, Netflix dropped from $1,300 down to about $1,100 in about like a 2-week span. So I caught most of the downside just scalping it pretty quickly and made a bunch of money on Netflix. And then let's just filter this by the bottom 10. So I'll break down this Palantir trade I took right here. So actually, let's just go back to the journal real quick. Okay, so if you go to the monthly dashboard here on Palantir, you guys can see right here this day I lost nearly $2,300 on Palantir. And all that really happened on this day, let me just remove the filter here. So I was down $2,000 on this Friday, July 11th. Pretty much all that happened here on this day, someone asked me about on Twitter. So one of the biggest things that I've come to realize about myself is if I start taking losing trades out the open and I go down pretty quickly, that really puts me on tilt, and that's when I kind of start spiraling. So this day on Friday, July 11th, I was trying to scalp Coinbase to the upside. It was around $400, but it just kept on stalling out and not breaking out. The contract, obviously there were 0 DTEs. Probably should have avoided 0 DTEs as I usually do. But today just kind of changed the plan. Didn't really follow the game plan rather. So I tried to trade Coinbase. I lost $400 pretty quickly, even though I was up about $200. So I gave back about $200 profit on that trade. Went down red. So I was kind of getting frustrated. I entered the Coinbase trade pretty quickly. Got stopped out even quicker the second time. And then because I was already getting frustrated, I was kind of starting to spiral. Like I said, I don't like taking losing trades so quickly off the open. The first 45 minutes, it kind of sets me back a bit mentally. And then I went full tilt. I said, you know what? Let me buy 30 contracts on Palantir and try to make it back real quick. And this was probably like the worst thing that I could have done this day because I was already crashing out on Palantir. I was getting frustrated, and you literally just came up. I long highs. I was pretty much in zero profit at all. I went red pretty much instantaneously, and then you just dropped straight back down here, back towards lows on Palantir. That is sold for a $2,400 loss because I was crashing out and just getting frustrated. So one thing I really worked on eliminating this past month, or the past few months actually, since like May, April, is really eliminating my crash out days. Months prior, especially like after Liberation Day, it was so volatile. You're making or losing money pretty quickly. Me going on tilt and spiraling was something that was pretty bad some days. So I just lose money, start spiraling, and go down like a couple $1,000s. So that's what happened on this day, Friday, July 11th. But luckily, I maintained it into the following week. I didn't panic. I just I made back all the money and then some more the following week. So just have to focus on going into August, September, Q4. Just focus on eliminating the crash out days. I know if I take a losing trade off the open really quickly, I'm going to try and make that money back because I have like another 6 hours just to stand around and do nothing. So as long as I can eliminate the crash out days and not get put on tilt pretty quickly off the open, or at least just walk away and have like a set loss limit, that's all I can really do to keep on excelling and making a bunch of money. And that's one reason I really enjoy Top Step or Project X rather, the platform, is because if you guys make money, you can just lock out for the entire session. You can't breach it. You can't go back in and modify anything. Once you're locked out, you're locked out. So that's a really great feature through Top Step X, and it really eliminates crash out days on futures in particular. So I'll just break down some trades here in particular. I had some really great trades in my opinion this month. So I'll just click on a random day here. Let's go like July 16th. So this one was a pretty decent SPX trade I took. Same kind of thing here. You had this break and retest up here at 62.44. So this kind of range right here. You gapped down initially, then I was looking for the break and retest above 62.44. Then I just sold as you push back in these highs around 62.55 here on ES, or SPX rather, for $2,300. Same thing every single day here, the break and retest. So another solid trade. This trade on this Coinbase trade is really interesting because I covered this one pretty extensively inside of Discord. But if you guys aren't inside of Discord, I recommend joining. Link in description, optiondrops.com. But on Coinbase in particular, I got stuck in this shot box on Coinbase, and it was a pretty brutal trade to be honest. It kind of like mentally taxed me for quite like 2 or 3 days after this trade, just because like how much stress and like pressure was holding this trade. Because I try to be pretty transparent, and going down $3,000 and making a recap on me losing $3,000 inside of Discord. Kind of embarrassing, but luckily the trade played out for me in my favor, and I didn't panic. I just followed the trade plan. But all I was looking for on Coinbase was just to move back towards the lows, and that's exactly what happened. So I just scaled in up top around 394, and I just sold back into 388 here on Coinbase. And up here on Coinbase, you had a bunch of like EU tariff news coming out, so you kind of had to pop back in these highs here, but the volume was pretty dry. So I didn't want to panic here and just sell for a loss, $3,000 loss just because it was down. The trade was still valid, you just got some random EU tariff news, so just kind of had a pop on the market. But at the same time, Bitcoin and MicroStrategy were looking pretty weak. So that's kind of the main reason I kept on holding this trade even through a bit of drawdown. I was expecting MicroStrategy and Coinbase to kind of lead to the downside, especially with how Bitcoin was moving. And then that weakness finally stepped into Coinbase at lows. I sold back into 388 for about $2,700 on this trade. Again, another solid trade here on Coinbase, which again really was mentally taxing, but a really solid overall trade. Then I had a really great trade here on Nasdaq. I think one day. Let's see where the NASDAQ trade is. In my last video, if you guys watched it about how I made $9,000 in 1 week, I kind of went over this NASDAQ trade a bit inside the video. But this was a really solid break and retest off PPI data. So when PPI data came out this day, Wednesday, July 16th, like I said in the video prior, you drop back down, retest this level as resistance, drop straight back down towards lows. So this NASDAQ trade, I was able to capture about 89 points on one contract, which is really solid. Really can't complain for $1,800 on this trade, or about 357 ticks. So same thing I'm looking for every day, the break, retest, and drop back down to these lows right here. So you could have caught like a 150 point move to the downside just on that break and retest alone off PPI data. So overall, really solid trading this month. Again, let me go back to the dashboard. You guys can see everything right here. $4,600, $500. You know, everything's broken down for you guys. I show you guys some of the draws, everything that came along with it. So overall, really solid month, and you know, really can't complain about this month of trading. So going into next month, like I said, I have to eliminate the crash out days. Just keep on doing what I'm doing. You know, don't get too aggressive. Just keep on doing what I'm doing, and then the profits will come. The system and strategy I've been following, the break and retest, and you know, everything I talk about, the 90 EMA, you know, taking profits off at key levels, breaks of lows, breaks of highs, etc. I've been doing the same exact thing, just scaling up a bit more aggressively. I'm at a point in my trading where I talked about in April, I want to start scaling up and making more money, and that's exactly what I'm doing. So there's no cap in my wraps. I told you guys I was going to do it, and now I'm doing it. So $46,000 on the month, or 35K without the NVIDIA trade, but all in all, extremely solid month. I'm breaking retest for the win. Now I'm doing it big time here. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. You have any questions, comments, or concerns, be sure to drop a comment down below, and be sure to drop a like, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next video. Peace.